You cannot do anything on just the conscious level. It's only 12% of the mind power. We could
Mm,
sit and talk about it all we want, but if we don't heal the subconscious, which are
mm,
all of our programming comes, it's kind of like a computer, right? Our mind is like a computer. If the hard drive has virus in there, I don't care what we do on the desktop, the change will not take fully. There's going to be moments where that error is going to pop up on that computer and say something is wrong in here, and that's exactly how our mind works. We can put all the tools, all the information, we can do all the classes, we can do all the conscious work, all the workshops, anything and everything. But if your subconscious in there says, remember when you were a child and you were told you can't, that's what's going to happen. You
right.
remember when you were told you're not good enough, that's what's going to happen. You remember when you were told you're not, I don't know, loved enough, or you didn't feel loved enough, that's what's going to happen.
Mm. Hey, self care warriors, welcome back to Hold My Purse, a self care journey through life. I'm your host, Ro, and this is our bi weekly space to breathe, reset, and remind ourselves that putting you first isn't selfish, it's a dang on strategy. Before we dive into today's conversation, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode and grab my free self care ritual guide. The link is in the description. Now, if you're new here, I always start each episode with a journal prompt. It's how we set the tone and create space for reflection. Think of it like opening the door to your inner voice before you bring in someone else's wisdom. So take a deep breath with me. Today's journal prompt is: where am I trying to control it all, and what would surrender look like today? Let me repeat. Where am I trying to control it all, and what would surrender look like today? Feel free to jot it down and come back to it after the show, but that is the prompt that I want you to think about as you listen in. All right, so today I'm sitting down with Kristine Ovsepian, a woman whose story is a powerful reminder that when we stop ignoring the whispers of our soul, everything can shift. Kristine was once an accountant stuck in burnout mode. Burnout mode. Her body literally started to break down. But it was through prayer, vivid dream, and one bold ass leap of faith she found her purpose through hypnotherapy and energy healing. Now she helps others break free from subconscious patterns, heal their inner child, and move from exhaustion to empowerment. We talk about why the body keeps the score, how to protect your energy as an empath, and how surrender, not control, is what actually brings peace. This conversation is deep, y'all. It's honest and it's healing. Let's get into it. Kristine, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with me today. I've been looking forward to this. I went through your site and I was like, okay, we got some vibes here. And I'm super passionate about everything that you are doing. So I really would love to just dive in and hear your story, your journey, because I think it's going to resonate with a whole lot of people.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Rhonda.
Yeah. So when I was looking at your website, it was saying how you were an accountant and you were unhappy, and your doctor even said you ain't gonna make it past 2 years unless you do something. I'm
Hmm.
curious. And then you went through a spiritual awakening. And I have to say, honestly, I work in marketing and I have been feeling that same way and working through how I'm going to get myself unstuck and been going through a spiritual awakening. So I'm really curious about that journey and how you went about it and how you got to the other side.
Of course. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, but as each time I say that, it ends up being a long kind of
Girl, spill the
journey.
beans. Spill the beans. We here for it.
Perfect. So, of course, my journey started 15 years ago. And up until then, I was in accounting, just going from organization to organization to a point where my best friend would laugh at me and be like, can you not get hired? Because funny enough, the companies that we get hired with, either they would go through, layoffs or bankruptcy, or I mean, the craziest things would happen. At that time, obviously, with the world that I came from, have a job, make money, pay bills, all that stuff. I was so caught up in that world that I couldn't see past it. But at the same time, being a believer of the divine, I was just praying and saying, God, please save me from this. Like I would cry, literally cry while driving to work and just say, God, I want to do what I love. I want to help people. I want to be of service to others. I want to. Number one thing that I, as a Gemini, felt suffocated in was that organizations were or the company that I was working for, my bosses were controlling my life, my time, my energy. I was told when I can take a break. I was told when I can take lunch. I was told when I can take a vacation. And to me, there was this rebelliousness inside of me that I was like, no, I need to be free, but I didn't know what else to do. So, inner world started doing what it knew best, psychosomatic symptoms. So I would tell you, I was at my doctor's office almost every week with a different symptom. Something in the brain, in the head space, something in the arm, something in the gut, something in the, I mean, you name it, my body was literally just rebelling and firing back. And this is where for 15 years, I'm so dedicated in telling my clients that we don't understand the power of our mind until it becomes physical. So my body was physically being constantly traumatized because my mind and my energy, my inner world was just so unhappy. So I had nerve damage in my right arm that they wanted to do surgery on and open me up and not giving me guarantee that it was going to heal. And I just went into prayer. I would just go to my doctor's office and cry. And he was one of those doctors that he would listen. He would give me the time and he was like, listen, I don't want to scare you, but you can't go down this path. Like this is eventually, if we don't heal our emotions, if we don't change something in our lives, it becomes physical. And that's where the body gets sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chronic stress, chronic anxiety leads to illnesses. So that kind of was a wake up call. And in that moment, it's like it scared me, but it didn't scare me. But it felt like my doctor's mission with me, because he knew me so well, was to like jolt me awake, tell me something that I won't be able to ignore anymore. Right. So, I mean, I had chronic IBS and like, yes,
The
severe to a
Matrix would make you
point.
sick.
Exactly. And that's exactly what was happening. And so eventually, I honestly did the one thing that I knew what to do, because at that time I was still studying for the CPA exam to become a CPA. And I just did the one thing that I knew to do, was to pray to God and say, save me and show me the way. And I literally had a very vivid dream, and I was wearing a white coat. I knew I was not a doctor. I knew I was not going to go that path, but I looked at my body from like my feet up. And funny enough, later on when I studied past life regression, that's how we introduce kind of the person in different lifetimes of, look at your feet. Are you male? Are you female? And I looked at my feet and up, and I was like, oh, I remember who I am. And in the morning I woke up and I literally took my laptop and I typed in hypnotherapy. I come from a Christian background.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Armenian. I'm born and raised in Armenia. So this was not anything that I was taught or knew. I knew of stage hypnosis. I knew my brother experienced that when we were kids, and it was a lot of fun to watch him do a lot of fun things on stage
Mm-hmm.
and being hypnotized. But I never knew there was therapy connected to hypnosis. But at that time, I was so desperate. I just went, this has to be God's guidance, intervention,
Mm-hmm.
divine guidance. And I typed it in and I found the school that was Tarzana, which is close to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait, this school has been around for 40, at that time, 40 years or so. And I didn't know anything about it, but I was just in such a vulnerable place, a place of feeling trapped in my own world, in my own life. And my kids were so young, 1 and 3 years old. And I vowed not to raise my kids to feel this way about life. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this path. And let me tell you, the first day I showed up at that school is the day I realized I'm home. It was like night and day. And at the same time, at that time, of course, being from my culture background and thinking that I don't want to just be a clinical hypnotherapist. I want to have the science behind it as well. So I started my master's in psychology. Until today, I feel like it's a blur of how I went through those 2 years. And the first year was hypnotherapy school full time and psychology school. And the
Mhm.
second year was, of course, my thesis and everything. I don't know how I did it with both my kids. And I once was watching a video with my children of their childhood, and I see my computer in front of me, my books in front of me, camera on them, trying to capture their fun, joyful child moments, but at the same time, knowing that I have to study, I have to do this. Like, it's such a blur. I can't even remember how I went through that process, but all I know is I had such determination inside of me to change my life and to be dedicated to helping others that I was like I would say, powerhouse at that moment. It's like nothing can stop me. No one can stop me. So
Oh my
that's
gosh.
been my journey. And since then, I haven't looked back. And I'm grateful to say I sit across from you today, every day, being grateful that I literally followed that inner guidance, that inner voice, that
Mhm.
divine voice that's we all have, we all know, we all hear. And oftentimes when my clients say, yeah, but logically, this is
And
not
that's
about
the
logic.
problem, right? Logic
Exactly.
is the
Because the
problem.
ego constantly wants to get in the way.
Exactly. And it's not
And it's
it's
not
gotta
about
you gotta
logic.
be heart-centered,
Exactly.
right? That's how you
Exactly. It's about that voice of truth inside. It's not about logic. Because anytime you follow logic, you follow the human path, you always come across a wall, a path that stops you. But when you
right.
follow instinct, you follow your intuition, you
Mhm.
follow your God given voice inside, you will never be stirred wrong. You will
Now,
always be guided to love.
oh my gosh, like, all of this I need to come to your studio wherever you practice because I need some help. So, I think I am definitely in the position where you were. So, this is really resonating with me on multiple levels, and I'm sure many others as well that are in my orbit that listen to me. Now, I know you said it was, like, kinda like a blur, but and that you were getting sick and you just was listening to yourself. But what and you became a powerhouse, but if you had to break it down into, like, little minute steps, what would you recommend for someone to do to take that step forward? Because number 1, I think it's figuring out where you are, what your soul alignment is to figure out what that thing is. So what would you say are some of those steps to do that?
Well, first, leap of faith, truly. And this year is to me one of the most profound years. Every year is important. Every year I've noticed for the past 15 years I've been doing this. Every year has a theme to itself, an energy to itself. This year being the snake year, I am saying, and born in a snake year, and it's literally about shedding old skins, letting
Oh
go
my
of
god.
things that don't work, letting go of the dead skin, right? Metaphorically speaking, letting go of
Right.
the old. And truly, like when I left accounting cold turkey. Like
Mhm.
I knew for me, it was like, I'm either going to get sick and get myself so sick that I'm not going to make it, or I'm going to take this leap of faith and do something different. And mind you, my dear, 15, 16 years ago when I was doing this world of mine now that so many hospitals, doctors send people my way going, this is psychosomatic. Go
Mhm.
see a hypnotherapist. This is all in your head. This is not physical. It becomes physical, obviously, if you don't work through the
Right.
issues. But 16 years ago, I used to get the looks that I literally wanted to stick my head in the sand sometimes. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? What? But I knew, again, that voice inside of me said, just keep going. It's like kind of like Nemo, just keep swimming, just
Yes.
keep swimming.
Right.
That was the idea of just keep going because I used to get the weird faces. What do you do? What is that you do? It's like, oh, don't talk to me about that stuff. That's taboo. But now it's like almost everybody knows and understands this is backed by science. This is how the mind works. It's like our programming is in the subconscious. If we don't change the subconscious, just today I was having a conversation with a new client on the phone and she was like, I have done everything. My company has put me through, classes and workshops and leadership, this and that and that and that. And she said, it sticks this much. And then I go to interview internally within her company for a promotion, and she freezes up and she can't, the words don't come out. So
Mm,
she was so right about, you cannot do anything on just the conscious level. It's only 12% of the mind power. We could sit and talk about it all we want, but if we don't heal the subconscious, which all of our programming comes, it's kind of like a computer, right? Our mind is like a computer. If the hard drive has virus in there, I don't care what we do on the desktop. The change will not take fully. There's going to be moments where that error is going to pop up on that computer and say something is wrong in here. And that's exactly how our mind works. We can put all the tools, all the information, we can do all the classes, we can do all the conscious work, all the workshops, anything and everything. But if your subconscious in there says, remember when you were a child and you were told you can't, that's what's going to happen. You
right.
remember when you were told you're not good enough, that's what's going to happen. You remember when you were told you are not, I don't know, loved enough, or you didn't feel loved enough, that's what's going to happen. And that's what humanity struggles with. This is where I'm like, yes, we can go to seminars. Yes, we can do the workshops. Yes, we can do exercises. And my clients sometimes come from seminars with stacks of exercises that they've done, but it doesn't fully stick. Because if the cup is full of, I'm just going to say it, crap from the past, right? Negatives, toxicity, childhood trauma. And childhood trauma doesn't have to be severe. It could be through words. Repetition is how
Mm-hmm.
our brain learns. So if we're constantly repeated, you're not good enough, or if we're constantly as a child shown by whether it's the parents that are too busy working or parents that are emotionally unavailable, those children feel, as all of us have that type of trauma, right? If our parents didn't have emotional intelligence, guess what? We weren't guided with love. We were just kind of like thrown into the world to figure it out. And some of us, we even, possibly had mothers that emotionally were not available and that were traumatized, or that were in a difficult relationship with their partner. And as children, especially the females, we turn more towards, if I make sure mom is okay, I'll be okay. And then we end up
Wow.
living our world that way. That we constantly go into if I make sure everyone around me is okay, I'll be okay. But then we're walking on eggshells. Then we're wearing a million masks to make sure with this person I act this way, with that person I act that way. When we look at children, as joyful as they are, oftentimes what do we notice? They'll be different with their grandparents, they'll be different with the mom, they'll be
Mm-hmm.
different with the dad, they'll be different with
They're
their siblings.
masking.
Exactly, because we learn how to be around these people, especially if we don't fully feel safe and secure around that person. We will find the formula to walk on eggshells to make sure we don't trigger that person. And that's trauma right there. And majority of humanity has that. Like 99.9% of us have something from our childhood that led us to be where we are today, that the programming runs our adult life. That's what it is. Our inner child is literally running our life.
Oh
So
my
inner child
gosh.
has to heal.
And
But
what does
sitting and
that
talking about it is not going to change it,
and what
right?
does that what does healing your inner child look like when a client comes to you? I would imagine you do like a deep dive into them.
Yes.
Kind of share without giving all of your secrets away, but just high level, like what does that look like when you help them understand their childhood traumas and how
hmm
that's impacting their adult life?
Yes. So, with the work that I do with my clients, it's not so much about diving deep and reliving the trauma. That's not how
Okay.
hypnotherapy
Okay.
works.
Okay.
Hypnotherapy with our sessions, it's simply just give me, because in during the coaching part of the session, the cognitive part of the session, which is the beginning of every session, it's the unfolding. It's the basically the recognition and realization, because majority of the time when I start with my clients, I don't just jump into inner child work. I just listen into what their current reality is. And from that, I start kind of going rewinding. And rewinding doesn't mean tell me what happened to you at 8 years old. Tell me what happened. I just could simply say, what changed in your life when you were 8 years old? And my client would start sobbing and say, okay, my parents separated. Suddenly my dad left, or my mom left, or we moved countries, right? So between 0 to 7 years old, we are sponges. We're just absorbing information. We don't judge, we don't analyze, we don't label. Between 7 to 9 years old, when our brain development changes and we start to analyze and we start to just basically, realize that not every family lives like us. Like one of my clients years ago, it was beautiful how she said, when I was a kid, we had 27 cats. And the first time I was 8 years old, I went to my best friend's house and they didn't have 27 cats. So she goes from room to room and they're like, "What are you looking for, sweetie?" She goes, "The 27 cats." Because children think if I have 27 cats, every other family has 27 cats. And it was a shock for her that her friend's family lived differently. And while her home was full of, tea and all other things from these cats, her friend's home was clean and didn't smell bad. And suddenly a child starts thinking, okay, what is wrong with me, my life? Why is my life this way and my friend's life that way? And we just observe and record, which is why by the time we're teenagers, we're kind of lost in this world because we're like, well, the world that I've been shown is different than the outside world, because also we start going to school from 6, 7 years old. And that we start seeing different dynamics and we get lost, we lose our path. And if we don't have our family members, parents being number one, to guide us to stay connected, what do you think happens? The first thing that is lost in a child is self-trust, self-love. Because if we're constantly told, that's wrong, don't do that, don't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that man has, I don't know, something on his nose, it's embarrassing. We stop trusting ourselves. And that pattern just becomes adult life of, I don't trust myself. I don't deserve it more
And then it make you
financially,
mute, right?
relationships, love life.
It'll make you
Exactly.
mute. Oh
Of
my
course.
gosh.
Or overly aggressive and angry.
Mhm.
So we
Upset.
lose balance, right? We
Mhm.
lose that I'm here to love and be loved to I'm not safe, I'm not secure, in order to protect myself, just like any animal would as well. The sweetest dog, if you literally stomp on their tail or their paw, they could bite, right? So we start to respond and react to life with anger, with resentment, with shutting down, with yelling, with screaming, with hurting ourselves and others. Why do we say hurt people hurt people?
Yes.
Because we are hurt. Our inner child is hurt. So in hypnotherapy, there's 99.9% of the time, the moment I take my clients to an inner child work in hypnosis, like tears are rolling down. Some of them sob when they meet their inner child. Some of them have pushed their inner child so far away that they would even say mean things about their inner child to their inner child. And that's what we heal, because it's about embracing the inner child. It's about recognizing that as life happens, not to us, but with us and for us. But many of us end up being adults that we think, I used to think that. Why is this happening to me? Why are people so mean? I'm so kind to people. Why am I surrounded by people that keep hurting me, keep being mean to me? And I would sit and cry without realizing that, well, I was mistreating myself internally. And the world around me is my mirror. So if the world around me is my mirror and I'm mistreating myself inside, what do I expect the world to do to me? Mistreat me. And then when I realized in loving me, the world loves me. The world is kinder to me. I attract kind people. When I travel places, and I love traveling, and I come back and I would talk to some people and they would be like, "Oh no, I don't like that country. People are so mean." I'm like, but that's not my
Oh,
experience.
that's
Every
your
time
energy.
I've been there, exactly, we attract, like
Mhm.
attracts like,
That's
right?
right.
If I go into it with that heavy energy, of course I'm going to attract heavy energy. If I go into it with love and excitement and joy, being a child, like for me, when I travel, I feel like a kid. I feel that joy, that excitement for the new. It's like I feel like I'm a kid in a candy store, especially when I go to Europe, because their architecture is just
Oh
so
my gosh.
beautiful. It's
Next
just like
level.
it's art.
Next level.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
curious though, because you were talking about energy, because I'm a bit of an empath, so I feel others' energy a lot. And I've been going through
Mhm.
this, I guess this period where I'm trying to almost repel it. I'm like, I don't want to be an empath because then I'm absorbing everyone's energy and it's bringing me down. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not my
Mhm.
problem. Like,
Mhm.
how do you kind of
Yeah.
manage a situation like that because
Yeah.
I find myself being drained sometimes. I'm getting better. I'm getting
Mhm.
better at saying, "You know what?
Mhm.
That's not mine. I don't own that. I rebuke
Mhm.
that,"
Mhm.
and removing myself from it. But
Mhm.
every once in a while, it still pops up.
Yeah. Yes, because again, that's coming from your past. Who
Mm.
as a child were you protecting to make
My
sure they're
mom,
okay? There we go.
all the
There
time.
we go, mama. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, my mom was,
Mhm.
like,
And
19 when she had me, and,
yeah.
she struggled, just her and my dad's relationship, and I love my dad to
Mhm.
pieces, but it was a struggle for
Mhm.
her, and I was always just trying to make sure she was good, and I missed out on my childhood, and then she had my
There we
sister
go.
11 years later, and then I was raising my sister. Like, I missed a whole childhood, and it took me a
There
minute
we
to
go.
figure that out.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's your answer.
Yeah.
You're an empath. You're highly empathic because of your past, because you had to be intuitive to read the room, to read your mom's energy, to be like, when is she upset? When is it safe? When is it not safe? When do I go to the room and stay there quiet? Don't stir things up. And when do I show up? When do I sit next to her? You had to be so intuitive in that space. And same here. I mean, very similar, very similar. When my mom didn't have me at a young age, she was 27. She was 19 when she got married and had my brother at 20. But at the same time, it's like living in a communist country. Is a whole piece of work
I
of
bet.
itself, like the level of, restriction and all
Mhm.
that stuff. It's like everything around you is stressful. So I had to be very, very intuitive and very plugged in and very observant. And that's what makes us even bigger empaths
Mm,
because you're also empathetic. It's
man.
like you need to absorb, you need to like and as a kid, because again, animals and children, when they look at us, they don't really look at us, oh, you're beautiful. They look at our energy, they read our energy.
Mhm.
So we were reading energy at such a young age. And it's while it's the norm, but if you're reading the energy and you're feeling your mom is in dark clouds, what are
Right.
you to do? You can't be joyful around that. But at the
Mhm.
same time, you're like, I want to relieve her of that. And so you start absorbing that energy. So now, what you need to do when I first started this journey, I remember my mom's first words to me were, you're going to die in a year. And I was like, thanks, mom. Why
Gosh.
would you say that? She said, because you take on everybody's pain.
Mm.
But thankfully, 16 years later, I'm still well and happy and joyful and here because over the years, I learned not to absorb because if I absorb, then I can't help my clients. So my commitment truly also became, and I'll give you some tools to work with, but my commitment mostly became I need to truly like commit to being well, being recharged, being rejuvenated, being re-energized. Like I'm such an empath that even this morning, one of my clients, she's a doctor and she came with a lot of, energy because,
Mm.
they're around patients and they absorb a lot to a point where when I was doing hypnosis and I sat next to her, I can feel like the sorrow, the sadness, the
Mm.
heaviness. And immediately, I just visualize because I close my eyes when I do my hypnotherapy sessions with my clients. And I just visualize my channel, my opening, and white light just pouring into me and overflowing. And within milliseconds, the energy shifted. I went from feeling this sadness to this I'm recharged, I'm rejuvenated because in that moment, my
Mhm.
empathic self gave too much to my client and I got depleted immediately.
Wow.
And then I immediately reversed that. Our intention is law in the universe.
Mhm.
The divine, the God essence gave us free will. We either can be empowered and, I don't know, conquer the world in the loving way, or we can be detriment to ourselves and our life can just basically, I know these are two extremes, but I'm just going to say heaven and hell, heaven and hell. We can switch in between within milliseconds. That's how powerful our mind is, which is why my clients can come with all the heaviness. The moment we go into hypnotherapy, half an hour later, they're literally walking away with a, oh my God, the world is brighter. Oh my God, I feel so much lighter. It's immediate. It's immediate because it's energy, it's vibration.
So when that happens and they feel like that relief, how do they maintain that? Like, what does that
Yeah.
next level transformation look like?
Of course. So the transformation is key is
Mhm.
repetition. How we learn through repetition because it takes the average mind 21 to 30 days to make a new habit. When we go places, when we get a new job, what happens? The first couple of weeks, you're all nervous. You're in a sense not grounded, right? But then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, a month later in your job, that alone, or new school, or new classroom, or new teacher, or anything, suddenly you're like, this is my note. I got this. I can do this. Repetition is key.
Yeah.
Repetition is how it becomes permanent. Because as scientifically they say, as Joe
Mhm.
Dispenza says it too, he says neurons that fire together wire together. That's the key. The more that we fire those
Right.
neural pathways that we put the positive, the energy, the happiness, the joy, the fulfillment, why is it that 100% of the world is seeking for peace, love, happiness, freedom? Why is that? Because it's our inner foundation. It's our essence. It's who we are. It's who we are. It's our own essence. It's our divine the essence. Like no one can change that. When my clients come and say, I want to be happier, I'm like, you are happy. You just need to clear the junk of all the stories, all the beliefs, all the programming, all the brainwashing that we received. Clear that up, and you are
Right.
happy, joyful, peaceful, content, free.
What do you think about the energy right now in the
Goodness.
world? It's so heavy, right? And, there's so much coming at us. And I'm pretty sure that our
Yeah.
minds cannot handle the overload that
Hmm.
we are receiving. But it just feels like it's so heavy and everyone is absorbing
Yes.
so much. And you said it's the year of the snake. I'm like, come on, snake, do your thing. Let's shed this,
Yeah.
let's shed this
Yeah.
energy. And I would imagine it's really creating opportunities for
Absolutely.
spiritual healing. What do you think now and in the future, like post this era, if you will? Because at some point
Absolutely.
this has to
Stop.
it's gonna have to
Absolutely.
stop, right? Or change. Something's
Hmm.
gotta give. What do you see? How
Yes,
do you see
absolutely,
that
my love.
looking?
So there's two times where our energy truly transforms and changes in the presence of great love and in the presence of fear and trauma. That's when, like when COVID happened, my phone was ringing off the hook day and night because people were forced to go within. They had to face their life. They were suddenly stuck home with partners and situations that they were escaping by going to work, by going out with their friends, and now suddenly they couldn't do it. Yes. So COVID,
Mhm. That's why you have a lot of divorce after separations
exactly.
afterwards, right?
Exactly. Because they
Man,
realize, oh my God, I can't
what
do
do we
this.
do
But
to
with
ourselves?
With that
Mhm.
chaos also came great healing. So many
I
people
agree.
transformed during that time. So many. Is everybody ready? Was everybody ready? No. But those who realized that this fear is going to cripple me, this fear is going to kill me, or this fear is going to destroy my life, they dove into
Mhm.
transformation. Some people accepted it. Some
Mhm.
people said, this is life. Life sucks and this is it, right? So the growth is every individual's responsibility. But the more hits that we get, trauma hits, which this year there's a lot of
Mhm.
trauma happening on our planet, it forces people to awaken. It does not force people to go because there comes a point that the soul, the spirit says, and I'm going to be kind with my words, but F it.
No,
Fuck
give it to
it.
me straight.
Fuck it.
Yes.
Like I'm over
Yes.
it, right? It's
Mhm.
like I'm breaking free
Mhm.
from these chains, emotional chains. Like that's my work with my clients. It's like that point where you're like, fuck it, I can't do this anymore. Like something has to change. And in
Mhm.
that moment is where breakthroughs
Mhm.
happen because in that moment surrender happens. Because when I talk to my clients about surrender, the average person quickly jumps into, oh my God, if I surrender, am I giving up, giving in? Absolutely not. Surrender is the letting go of trying to control. The more that we try to control with ego, the more out of control we become. The moment we surrender, which is exactly what I did 16 years ago when I surrendered to God and I said, God, take the wheel. Seriously, take the wheel. Because I have no freaking idea
Did
where I'm driving. I'm lost in the woods. Like, take the wheel, take me back on the freeway. And my life transformed. And that is true for everybody. For everybody. We just need to literally surrender the wheel to our higher self, to the God essence, to Christ
mhm,
consciousness, to Buddha consciousness. Doesn't matter what our belief is. But truly, remember a while
mhm.
back you said, what is the formula? And I said, leap of faith. That's your leap of faith.
Yes,
Leap of faith to let go of the wheel and just to let spirit do the driving for a minute.
let
Absolutely.
it guide you
Absolutely. And that's what
100%.
we're led to. The more
Wow.
chaos happens in the world, the more we are kind of nudged, and will never say force because spirit does not force, but nudged more towards faith and trust, living in faith and trust. And that's where you align. When you align, you're a channel. When you're a channel, you're just pouring in. You
Yes.
won't get depleted. Just visualize yourself every
Mhm.
day, no matter where you are, whether you're at work or at a store. Just visualize yourself like a channel, like this white light bulb or energy or
Mhm.
tube, whatever feels right for you, like literally pouring into you and overflowing, pouring in and overflowing. Just visualize that. And I promise you, you would not get depleted.
Okay. I'm definitely gonna do that. Now, what is next
Oh,
for you?
goodness.
Because you hold space with so many people. Like I saw on your website, like 1,000. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of individuals. That's a lot of energy. What do you do for yourself to help keep yourself grounded and to keep your energy? I mean, you shared a little bit how your energy during a session, but what do you do to keep
Absolutely.
yourself grounded?
Number one, and it's going to go back a little bit. When my children were in Catholic school, I remember one time, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing up this example. One time we were at Mass, and the deacon said, children, parents, families, all we ask of you is to give 1 hour a week to God. Oh, I'm getting chills even saying that right now,
Okay.
because to me, I said, 1 hour a week? And the rest of the time, we're going to be lost puppies and children going through life. And at that point, I was already in this energy years in, and I realized in us, and this is not me preaching religion or anything. This is just me talking about true divine essence of love and light that is breathing life through every single one of us. The reason why you and I are having this conversation is because that divine breath, that soul, that spirit is inside of us. So every single one of us on this planet, if we could just truly surrender to that truth and be in that truth, not 1 hour a week, but as much as we possibly can. Because now my life from day to night to dreams to awake state to sessions to car driving to showering to every moment of my life, I am truly choosing to stay connected. In the difficult times, I'm choosing to stay
Mm,
connected. And in the joyful times, I'm even more connected. This is where that grateful heart is a magnet for miracle comes in, which I'm 100% believer. The moment I would stay, like not stay, but stir even a little bit away from my heart of that gratitude of feeling blessed for life itself, I
mm,
immediately feel that human pinch come in and that slight disconnection. And the moment I bring myself back, and even in the difficult times, my formula is being grateful. It's not easy to be grateful when it's difficult because all of us, when it's difficult times, we just want to kind of fall down and just, cry
mm,
and kick our feet and whatever else. Like the inner child is, acting out. But during that time, my affirmation to myself is this is opportunity for growth. What am I growing out of? What am I
mhm,
healing from? What am I letting go? What am I releasing? I like communicate with myself. When I feel sad, I sit with myself and I say, why am I feeling sad? What is this connected
mhm.
to? And very quickly, my inner voice just guides me to the core reason of why. Can I do something about is my next question. And if I can't, I surrender it to the divine. And I say, please bring me the blessings,
Oh
answers,
my God.
solutions, healing. That is my formula. Do I meditate every day?
You are.
Really? I'll be honest, I don't because I'm always staying
Mhm,
connected.
mhm. I love that. Oh my, you helping me so much today because I've been in this space. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, this is
Yes,
not the answer
yes,
to the prayer.
yeah.
Like, how do I move forward in this life? I mean, I have more years behind me than ahead of me. I am not
Mhm.
gonna live in that
Mm.
space. So I appreciate your wisdom and everything that you're sharing. So if you don't mind, I always ask a question at the end of my interviews, and it's about self-care and self-love. If there was a law that everyone had to follow that you created as it related to self-care, what would it
Love
be and
yourself,
why?
appreciate yourself, be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, treat yourself like you would treat others. Because majority of humanity treats others better than themselves. This is why Buddhism says if
They
people
really do.
start realizing and being kind and showing kindness to themselves, they'll show kindness to others. It starts from within. Our
Mhm.
war and peace is right here. We either show up in the world with war or we
1000%.
show up to the world with peace. Which one is it going to be? The choice is ours.
And when you show up with that war, your life
Mhm.
is gonna be a war,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be filled
Mhm.
with chaos, right?
Mm.
My gosh. Is there anything else you want to share
Goodness,
before
my
we
love.
wrap
Anything
this up?
you'd like for me to share, I would love to. There's a lot I could share.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I'm like, I feel like I need another session. Like, there's so much like deep into hypnotherapy, energy work,
Yes.
any other modalities that
Yes.
you
So,
do.
of course, hypnotherapy, coaching, past life regression
Mhm.
therapy, which is
Okay.
incredible.
Tell me
Goodness.
about
Oh, we can
that.
have a whole 2-hour
My gosh.
conversation about that. Quantum healing technique. I serve combo to my clients. Yes. Breathwork, Reiki, all of it. Because when I first started this journey 16 years ago, again, I Gemini self, that I'm like, I'll get
Mhm.
bored doing one thing. Everybody was guiding me to specialize in one thing. And I would look at the list of all the things that I'm learning in hypnotherapy school. And I was like, oh, I love passive regression. I love NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I love this. I love that. How can I?
Wait, so they
Yes.
teach all
Yes.
of
There
that
were
in
additional classes.
really?
Obviously, you had to pay extra for each certification program. But
Mhm.
whichever one spoke to my heart that I connected with, I gathered the knowledge, the wisdom. And then now the way I do things, there's not a single session of mine that doesn't have a combination of modalities. I do sound bath, hypnotherapy, NLP, coaching, all in one session. I do Reiki, breath work, chakra balancing,
Wow.
energy healing, working with tuning fork sound bath in one session. So there's always
You're a chakra threat.
because they go so
You could
well
do it all
together, and my Gemini mind
together.
being like
Yes.
a hummingbird that I'm always like, "Well, but
Mhm.
that's exciting, and that's exciting," and especially because they go so well together, the combination is what
Right.
gets my clients the healing like that instead of I don't believe in dragging. I believe in if there's one more message that I can share with you is I am so tired of dragging life
Yes.
along and suffering and struggling. It's time to leap.
Mhm.
Leap. This is our time to leap.
I'm with you.
Exactly,
I'm
because the
ready.
years are going by. The weeks are going by. The months are going by.
Mm.
What happened to this year? And we just honestly feel like we haven't really lived this year because we're constantly in a
I know I feel like.
up and down, and
Mhm.
everybody's feeling, ungrounded.
It just feels
Yeah,
really
ungrounded
chaotic,
globally. I
has
mean,
it?
look
It
at what is
feel
happening to our world, like politically, to globally. I'm
same.
not even talking about our country. I'm talking about other countries. Like it's crazy what is happening. But again, that's the collective consciousness awakening. That's what's happening. You know how
Mm.
would we always say, like, if you take your closet out and you want to organize chaos first, and then it's organized, and then you get rid of the
Mhm.
extra. That's literally what
Right.
the world is going through. 5 years ago in a ceremony, I literally witnessed my higher self telling me the ego will roar on your planet. And then it will come to its knees and it will merge with the light because the light will never cease to exist. So I think
Oh,
that's a pretty profound message I can.
think it's in
It is.
process
It
right now.
truly is. It is. It is. And we can either get sucked into that or just every day I wake up saying, thank you, God, for I have peace in my life, around me, surrounding me, love
Mhm.
in my life, around me, surrounding me. Like attracts like.
You are a gift, and tell
He
everybody how to
is, my
find
love.
you, and I hope that one day you'll be willing to come
Absolutely.
back and let's take it to click further with some of the other modalities. I've been really getting into the quantum, past life regression. I really want to
Absolutely.
learn more,
Anytime you'd like, I'd
and I love
love
to
to come
share.
back. We have
Yeah.
a great energy going together.
Yeah, and actually,
Thank
I'm gonna come see you. I feel like I need it. And in
Yes.
fact, question for you, I swear this will be my last one. If you were to do a session with
Mhm.
someone like, say, me, who's someone that feels stuck, how many sessions would you recommend, or do you evaluate once you
Of
get to
course,
know that person?
evaluating, but majority of the time between 4 to 6
Mhm,
sessions, as I spoke of the 21 to 30-day
mhm.
mark,
Oh,
between
yes.
4 to 6 sessions, a
Mhm,
lot of
mhm,
change happens, a lot of transformation. It's like an awakening happens. It's kind of like night and day happens. I've seen it, I continue to see it,
mm,
and this is why I love, while I know we're society of quick fix. I'm like, this is the healthiest quick fix because it's permanent and it's natural and it's healthy and there's no
mhm.
side effects. The only side effect is better life. That's the side effect of that.
Well, sign me up for that side effect.
I'm like,
Shoot,
if people want quick
I'm
fix,
ready.
here we go. Not the 100 sessions, 4 to
No,
6
do the
exactly.
w
But the dedication has to be there. Yes. Like my client's willingness and openness to it is very like in a
mhm,
session when I take my clients to hypnotherapy, the moment I sit next to them, I close my eyes, I know what my client is ready for. Are they ready for this much healing? Are they ready for this much? Or are they ready for the transformation? And
mm,
I take the energy based on that.
mhm,
And when they come out, the response is the same. It was like, oh my God, I realized I'm holding myself back because I wasn't sure what this is. And then second session and on, and they're like jets taken off. But other clients who are more spiritually awake, aware, it's like literally like we're shooting into space session together.
take me to space. I'm ready. I'm coming to see you.
Yes.
So tell everyone how
Yes.
they find you, because obviously you do amazing work and, we need
Thank
to
you,
let
my
the
love.
people know how to
Thank you.
reach
I
you.
appreciate it. So my website is www.journeystoheal.com. That's JOURNEYSTOHEAL.com. Journeys to heal.com. And Instagram at Journeys to Heal, Facebook Journeys to Heal, all of the above.
I love that. Y'all, you need to go check her out. My gosh. Well, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. And you know what? I love like energy. So, and I feel it, even
Yes,
over
because
the
energy
internet.
flows,
So
right?
thank
The
you so
energy
much.
cannot, it just, we could be thousands of miles away. I have clients globally when I do virtual
Mm-hmm.
sessions. First session, they're always shocked.
Mm,
One of my clients, she's in Hong Kong, and she's like, how was I feeling all that energy in my gut when you were guiding me through this process? I'm like, because energy flows. The energy does not stop. Energy travels. And as long as your intention, this is the power of our essence, intention,
mm-hmm.
living with intention.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. When we live with intention, anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, thanks again. I appreciate you. You
Thank
are a
you. So are
gift.
you. Thank you for having me, Rhonda.
Hi everybody, I'm gonna be talking about the pumpkin patch. So, I went to the pumpkin patch yesterday, and then I saw Gracie, my auntie, my Mimi, of course, Jeannie, Harmony, not Madison, but Auntie Mo, and of course my mom. So there's 7 people, and me, so that's it. So, now let's get started on to the victory. So, now at the pumpkin patch, I went on a train ride so I can go back in like the pumpkin patch. And then after that, we decided to go look for some gold in like these little bucket things. And then like you put sand in it and then you shake it out with water. And then that's how you find gold. And I found a big nugget. And then also, we went on the kids tractor ride, and I was the best driver out of all the kids crashing into the hay barrels. And then, also, I went through the haunted house, which was not scary at all. I don't understand that thing. Gracie loved it. She keeps running back and forth. I was like, Gracie, let's go again. Gracie, let's go another time. And then she just kept on running back and forth. So, and then also we got snow cones. And then after the snow cones, we went in the bouncy houses, which, I mean, were kind of fun, but I was expecting them to be, like, bigger than normal. But it's okay, at least it did do. Went to get matcha, which the regular matcha was disgusting. And then the banana one was the best. That were my days with the actual girl.
My little love bug Aria is a powerhouse. She has me cracking up all the time, and she is so incredibly self-aware. That conversation with Kristine, y'all, was everything. If you're anything like me, you're still probably sitting here like, yep, that was a moment. That's real. I want to just share what's sticking with me the most, and that is when we finally loosen our grip on control, we make room for guidance, and that's where the real peace begins. A few quick takeaways before we close out today's show. Your body keeps the score. Chronic stress is your soul waving the red flag. Repetition is how change sticks. Those new thoughts and actions wire your peace into permanence. If you're an empath, like me, protect your energy and give from overflow, not depletion. Talking helps, but healing your subconscious is what rewrites the story. And surrender. It's not giving up, y'all. It's trusting that your higher self knows the way. Now, if today's episode spoke to you and you're ready to go deeper, check out my Mastering Self-Care ebooks and the 360-day guide journal. Both are designed to help you create small daily rituals that actually last. And if you haven't already, sign up for my newsletter for new prompts, affirmations, and love notes for your soul. And the links are in the description. So we started today's episode with a journal prompt to open up your heart. And as always, I like to end with an affirmation to seal the energy and set the tone for what is next. So take a deep breath with me and repeat after me. I release control. I receive guidance. I am safe, supported, and filled with light. If this episode spoke to your spirit, go ahead and subscribe, leave a quick review, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Until next time, my fabulous friends, my self-care warriors, hold your own purse, protect your peace, and keep choosing you. Today's episode is sponsored by Self-Care Shorty, your go-to for homemade skin products that keep you moisturized, healed, and at ease. Discover these amazing products today at selfcareshawty.etsy.com. That's selfcareshawty, SHAWTY.etsy.com.